everybody. Welcome to the next show. Will be better. I appreciate all of you being here. Let me start this properly for y'all. Welcome to the next show, Will Be Better, where we talk about my life as an American living here in the UK, the good, the bad, the gorgeous, and the ugly, and everything in between. I'm your host, Mandy, and if you're joining me for the first time, thank you so much for taking a chance on us, and welcome. If you're a returning viewer, I appreciate your continued support, and welcome one and all. Tonight we're going to talk about the rough UK winters, because I'm not gonna lie, I'm struggling. I'm having a hard time. So we're going to review the posts that I put out with some tips and tricks, asking you guys for some advice and tips and tricks. And we're going to talk about the comments from that. We're going to watch a video on the year Britain froze, I think it's called. Yeah, I have it right in front of me. Year Britain froze. And also it's Super Bowl time in the US. So we're going to talk about that a little bit as well. And of course, the live chat's open, and I want to invite you to drop your comments, questions, concerns, super chats, hot takes, and anything else that you wish to talk about in the chat as we go. I will read them as we go. Missed that part. Also, if you could please hit that like button, I would greatly appreciate it. It helps us out a lot, and it's free. And I don't know if you're like me, but definitely lately, if it's free, it's for me. And yeah, all right, let's get going. Let's see if we can make this shows better than last week's shows. But it's only better when you guys are here to join me. Who we got? Who we got in the house today? Sam K, wonderful. Good to see you. Hello. Disco, wonderful. Glad to have you here. Falco, always a pleasure. Imogen Harrison, good evening from Durham. It's Durham County, right? I'm just playing out a bunch of people that left comments about me saying Kent County and making fun of me. Anyway, thank you for being here, Imogen. I appreciate it. I moderated a stream earlier for just over 6 hours. Jeez, it's a long stream. If only I didn't have to work. Hi, Manny. Thank you for being here. Hello, everybody. I hope everybody is good. I hope everyone's safe, and I hope you're warm wherever you are. I'm actually pretty warm because I've had the heat on for a little bit in this room. I have a blanket and my Eskimo slippers on and a nice hot cup of tea because I need to do something. I am freezing cold. The wind chill today was insane. I was so cold walking to the train today. Whew. It will be spring soon, but not soon enough, Manny. Sorry. Mojin says, I have a friend here from Mongolia. -40 is common in winter there, but she swears UK feels colder. Yeah, the winter just hits differently here. I don't know what it is. Like, we had cold temperatures in America and really brutal wind too, but it just hits different here. I don't know why. Good evening, Mick. Thank you for being here. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for the generous super chat, Disco. I appreciate it. I'm definitely going to need a couple cuppas, but I'll take one to start. Thank you. So like I said, we're going to get into all about the UK winters here. And hopefully you guys have some tips for me. Let's get into the poll and see what you guys had to say. Share my screen. I had to start with that Mamas and Papas song because I have literally been dreaming of being in California. I have been dreaming of being anywhere but here for the moment. Anyways, so here's the post I put out for you all earlier this week. So I'm really having a hard time. I just really like that picture's not from the UK, to be fair to anyone. Someone sent that to me on social media, and I just love blue roses. That's why they sent it to me, and I just thought it was a gorgeous picture. But it definitely symbolizes how I've been feeling in the UK lately. But I just think it's a really pretty picture. Anyway, yeah. So it's been frigid temperatures and cold. I feel like this winter has been much cooler and much windier and much rainier than last year. I don't know if that's just me or, I'm just still adapting or whatever, but I'm having a hard time. So I put out this poll asking if you guys could give me some tips on how to survive the British winters. If you want to hear anything more about my personal thoughts on this, there is a post on my Substack that talks about this as well. So if you guys want to head over to my Substack under the Hickson Diaries, I'll leave a link in the description box for y'all as well. If you could go over there and subscribe, that'd be great. But if you can't, no big deal. Just some more kind of just personal writings and stuff like that, just to give it a little bit of a different aspect to the channel, because just in case you guys can't get enough of me, Anyways, let's see what you guys have to say. So Louise Miller says, something to look forward to in the way of sunshine holiday. Yesterday, it was just gray and a cold wind. That's depressing. Not so bad if we get some winter sun. Yeah, I'd say book up for a week's holiday and get some sun. It makes all the difference. Yeah, I bet it does. We've been dreaming of like what we're going to do next winter. We're definitely not going to be here. It's different to ignore the British weather, but a cup of tea can make all the difference. Because you guys think a cup of tea solves every problem. Although I do have my cup of tea. That was Steve RAF. Central heating, thermals, and red wine. Well, I don't have central heating, radiator heating. And thermals, I've been wearing lots and lots of layers. It's so funny. My dad used to wear thermal underwear when I was really little. We lived on the top of a mountain in Pennsylvania, literally like at the top, and it was cold, and he used to wear thermals all the time. I remember that. It's funny. We lived in a trailer as well, so what do you guys call it? Caravan. One of the caravan things, and we didn't have a really good heating. So red wine I could definitely get behind, though. Red wine's good for you, I hear, or I tell myself, one or the other. Sam K says, plenty of soup, cups of tea, hearty meals, sausages and onion gravy with mashed potatoes, wearing winter clothing, carrying heat packs, among other things. We actually just had bangers and mash the other day. It's like one of my new favorite British meals. I have it all the time. It's cheap, it's easy, and it's filling. But thank you for the advice. Martin Alloway. I think it's Martin. I can't tell if it's Martina or Martin. The UK winter isn't brutal. All of the UK sits in latitudes equivalent to Canada. We don't get anything like that. Edinburgh is the same latitude as Copenhagen. We don't get anything like that. The Gulf Stream warms the seas that warm the weather. It is cold and damp and occasionally snowy, but rarely extreme. We had a shit summer, so maybe winter seems longer this year. But you get the weather you're dealt. The weather can't be wrong. It just is. How we relate to the weather. Oops. Can't change. It's cold and dank and dark. It's also snowdrops. Crocus, birds returning, buds forming, and spring getting ready to burst out. Enjoy the anticipation. Wow. There is a lot in that little paragraph, but it paints an image, doesn't it? Whew, wish I could write like that. But thank you for the comment. And that's, it's not really that, like, I don't know if they're more brutal or what. Of course, it's all relative anyway, right? Like, I appreciate that I don't have to deal with the snow, but and the ice and all of that, but the wind, it just cuts right through you, man. I don't know. I'm wondering also if it has something to do with my office, because my office is cold store. And even though we're separate from the actual warehouse, they rarely put the heat on. So I don't know if maybe it has something to do with that. So Rick Mason says, it's simple. You spend winter the same way as all the seasons. You complain about it till it changes. Then you complain about the changes until it changes again, all the while just getting on with it. Yeah, pretty much. Phil Jameson says you should come up to the Scottish Highlands. I've been to the Scottish Highlands. They're beautiful, but not in the winter. We've been snowed in twice since Christmas. The sun doesn't rise until well after 9 a.m. in January, and it's dark again by 3. However, we can see the nights drawing out as we're not putting the lights on until 5 p.m. We've got sliding doors along the east-facing rooms, so we get the sunrise, which is nice and helps with SAD. Decent outdoor clothing is the secret, as well as having a warm house. Luckily, our house is relatively new, but we've been updating it to improve its insulation. I pushed the boat out to replace the older wooden double glazed windows, which were builder basic with triple glazing. It was expensive, but worth it. Whew, triple glazing. I didn't even know they did triple glazing. I agree that having a warm house is key because I'm usually the first one home, and it's a freezing cold house when I come in. And then when the rest of the family comes in, they're like, oh, it's so nice and toasty in here. And I'm like, oh, it must be nice. I literally walk in the cold and still come into a cold house. But I don't want to put the heat on while no one's in the house. It's stupid. Larry Fruit says, fluffy wool insoles for slippers and shoes and boots. They really help. Fingerless gloves are a good mix of warmth and practicality. A few thin layers are warmer than one thick one. I've heard that, and I do that. Hats and a sweatband to cover the ears helps when the wind is icy cold. Yes, I've been basically glued to my hat and my scarf. As far as the endless gray skies go, learn to moan about it like a Brit. You're halfway there. Oh, Rebecca Bourne says, go to the Winchester and wait for it to blow over. What's the Winchester? Is that a pub? I don't know what the Winchester is, or is that probably somewhere warm? I don't know. Y'all let me know where the Winchester is in the comments. John Dell, not in the comments, in the chat, sorry. John Dell says, ginger. When coming in from the cold, I'll often treat myself to ginger nut biscuit or a slice of Parkin or non-alcoholic ginger wine. Mulligatawny soup. Mulligatawny soup. That sounds like it's probably right. Oh, y'all know you can always get me with the pronunciation. Oh, I've been making like stews and stuff like that as well. Glenn Wright says, my family suffers from SAD with significant consequences. Oh, I'm so sorry. There are 2 solutions. One was medication, but equally effective was a short break somewhere sunny like North Africa, or skiing where the sun on the snow has the same benefit. That's one thing I keep telling people is like in the winters in America, where I'm from at least, it's snowy and the sun shines. So the sun will bounce off, reflect off of the snow, and it makes it really, really bright. But even when the snow isn't there, the sun still comes out. Like it's not, once the storm is past, it's still kind of sunny for the most part. So it's still, even though it's cold and everything, it's still sunny. So you still get to at least see the sun. I think that's what's hurting me, is that the gray skies and the constant cloudiness is what's getting to me. A short break doesn't need to cost a lot, although you may have to take your daughter out of school to get a reasonable deal. We don't care. We do that anyway. The other strategy is to set a few enjoyable events in January and February, which gives you something to give you motivation. That's true. We do have something coming up in a couple weeks, so I am looking forward to that. Giant Haystack said, go to the pub and watch the Six Nations. This also works for surviving the summer, but you exchange the rugby for cricket or Wimbledon. Yeah, I could go to the pub. That would warm me up, I would think. Easy Wizzy, great handle, says blankets and hot water bottles. Okay. I didn't even realize hot water bottles were still used in the 21st century. I thought it was like a Victorian thing or something because I'd never seen them really used in America, but lots of people in the office use them here. That's crazy. I don't know why it makes me feel crazy, but because it's perfectly reasonable, but it's still crazy. Anyway, bobble hats, have one. Gloves, gave them to the kid. And counting down the days till spring. I need to get myself some more gloves because my hands are cold. Claire Gale says, we're British, we just get on with it. But we do love to talk about it all the time. Very British. Chris Ward said, go to Tenerife for a week or 10 days. Yeah, that's definitely on my list. Clive Newman says, drink lots of beer. Well, I don't drink beer, but I'll drink lots of brandy and whiskey. That'll definitely warm me up. Louise Miller says, maybe some vitamin D supplements. You're used to the sun, and that may help. Yeah, I've thought about that. I might have to start doing that because it is bothering me. But I am, like in the afternoons, if it's not raining, I do go outside, even if it's not sunny, just to kind of at least see some some semblance of sun, if it's peeking through the clouds a little or something. David Edgar, and since I've been doing it has helped a bit. David Edgar, think Scottish broth and tea. Eat lard and dripping, not oil. Ew! Like straight lard? That can't be what you're talking about. You must be talking about using it to cook or something. Just eat like a World War II style diet with hard fats and you'll be good. Yeah, but my hips can't take that shit. Like, I already have enough stored fat. I don't need to add to it. But I appreciate the comment. Scottish broth I'll go for. The lard I'm a little bit nervous about. Cheese eating June Lista. Heroin and alcohol. Okay. And that's where it is. I don't know about the heroin. I'm on board with the alcohol, but I'm not into the heroin. But appreciate your comment. There's some good stuff in there, but I've been doing some of it, to be honest with you. I drank more tea in the last month or so than I've drank since I've lived here, I think. Emojin says it's the humidity that makes it feel colder. Surrounded by water makes it feel like a damp cold. That might be it. That has something to do with it. I could see that. What was winter like in New Jersey? So winter in New Jersey was kind of like this. I'd say around Halloween, so the end of October, it would start getting chilly. You'd have that fall like chill in the air, autumn chill in the air. It really doesn't start getting chilly though until like October. There's a little bit of cooling in September, but then there's always a spike again at the end of September and it gets hot again for some reason. I'm not really sure. So in middle October, end of October, it starts getting chilly. Usually no snow or anything until after the new year. Just starts getting colder and colder and colder. And then maybe a little bit of ice, but usually it's not snow. It's usually one good snowstorm in the middle till the end of January. But it hardly ever lays you up. It's maybe like delayed openings, maybe schools closed and you just going to work a little bit late or something. It's usually about 2 or 3 feet, which is about half of me. So that can't be right. Wait, let me think. Oh, it's probably about a foot and a half. So it could go up to 2 feet. Usually if it's after 2 feet, it's like a closed building or whatever, but very, very rarely. And I worked from home, so I always had to work even when it was nasty weather. And basically lots of people out there at like 6 o'clock in the morning shoveling the path and trying to clear off their cars so they can go to work. And then it usually stays around. You see the plows go down the street and they just push all of the snow back onto your driveway that you've just shoveled out so that the streets can be cleaned and iced, ungridded. And then that usually lasts a couple weeks. And then it starts to melt and it starts getting warmer, usually end of February, early March, starts to pick up the temperature, and you don't really get much more precipitation. There's been a few like blizzards and things like that where it's really bad storms in my lifetime, but it typically doesn't get that bad, just enough to be annoying and a pain in the ass. It's usually not as windy as it is here. So I think that might be part of my issue as well. But it does get cold. It doesn't get below freezing. Hello, FC. Thank you for joining. Do you prefer Celsius or Fahrenheit? Well, I prefer Fahrenheit because I'm more used to it because I've used it for so long. It's easier for me. I think Celsius makes more sense because it's zero is freezing and below freezing is below zero, and that makes it a lot easier to understand temperature-wise. But I always have to convert it to Fahrenheit anyway, just because I just never really, I can't equate it to how it's actually going to feel unless I know what it is in Fahrenheit. It probably doesn't make sense to you guys, but I know some people have said, if it's below 10, it's cold. If it's obviously, if it's below zero, it's freezing. It's above 10, it's warm, something like that. And if it's above 20, it's hot. But it's like when I'm trying to prepare, what to bring with me for the day and all that kind of stuff, it's easier for me to comprehend it in Fahrenheit. Sam says a cup of tea fixes most things, including a broken leg. And I heard that somewhere. Hi, TJ. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. Mick says there is nothing to beat a big pot of homemade lentil broth. I like lentils. I don't know how to make soup really, like from scratch. Can make like soup, but in cans and packages and stuff. But Sam said car won't start, cup of tea. Bus failed to turn up, cup of tea. Lost wallet, cup of tea, etc. That's the British way. I don't know if I told you guys this, but in America, we had a little ceramic teapot and we used to keep our tea bags in on our stove, and it said, keep calm and have a cup or something like that. And I remember we bought it because they're like, yeah, that's very British. Manny says, a good video to watch is how people in Svalbard cope with the endless dark polar nights for over 3 months during winter. It is still pitch black at midday. I would watch that video, actually. If you could send me the link, Manny, that would be cool. I've had some conversations with people who live in Alaska, where you have, I think, a month or so of 24-hour daylight and then a month or so of 24-hour darkness as well. And they've talked about how they have to use like blackout curtains and things like that. But no, I'd be interested in watching that. Norway. Yeah, that makes sense. Probably a pub, wasn't it, in Minder? What's Minder? I assume you're talking about the Winchester. Pub from the, oh, here we go. Disco says, pub from Winchester is the pub from film Simon Pegg was in zombie film. Falco says the Winchester is a reference to the pub in the film Shaun of the Dead. Great film. Yeah, I didn't think it was a great film. But okay, that makes sense. Okay, I got you now. It was also the club in Minder. What's Minder? TJ, what's Minder? You were nearly there. Mick says, you're sounding a lot better than you did last week. Did you try the hot whiskey? I didn't. I just got a lot of rest. And I got really good news that I'm not quite ready to share, but that's taken a load off of my mind and it's made me able to rest better. But thank you. I appreciate it. Disco says, hot water bottles are still a thing if you have a backache or something. I believe pregnant ladies use them sometimes. I used to like a heating pad when I was pregnant. And I used it on my back sometimes because I had back issues for a while. I never used the water bottle though. I suppose a water bottle is easier because it's portable, whereas like the heating pad has to be plugged in. But I don't know. It reminds me of, like in olden times, like really olden times, a couple hundred years ago. It's probably not really olden times in your neck of the woods, right? British old is much, much different than American old. But anyway, like in olden times when they had the like metal pot thing that had the ashes in it that they would put at the foot of the bed to keep the bed warm. That's what hot water bottles remind me of for some reason. Like a portable version of that, which it probably derived as a portable safe version of that. That's what it reminds me of. I don't know if that's why it turns me off a little bit. It always makes me feel old when I think about it. And I don't even know where I would buy one in America. I know I don't know where I'd buy one in America. I don't know where I'd buy one here. Would they just at like the drugstore? They just at like Boots? I don't know. Monthly pain. Yeah, that makes sense. Minder or Minder. But what is Minder? What is it? Hi, Roy. Thanks for joining. Oh, no problem. I don't know what's up with the notifications. I keep getting told they're not working. YouTube's a mess. The hot spoon pots are similar. Is that what they're called? TJ knows. She knows all that historical stuff. Oh, the show is Minder. Minder. Got you. I don't know. I'm still new here, guys. Sorry. American. Didn't know. All right. Let's watch the week that Britain froze. That's not it. There it is.
The icy grip of the...
Okay. That's what it looks like in America in New Jersey in January, Manny, when it snows. That's what it looks like. And yep, they're just driving around. Except there's not as many cars parked on the street because that's not a thing. Especially when it snows, you're not allowed to park on the street because of the plows. The plows will come off the street like this and all of the snow will be pushed against the edge of the road like that. So the cars can't be parked there because the plow has to come down and plow it all out. But that's pretty much what it looks like otherwise.
The beast from the east. A Siberian blast that broke temperature records and cloaked much of the country in deep snow. It's officially spring, but Britain is still in the midst of winter. Goodness me. The extreme...
That's like a normal snow. That height. Just FYI, what I was trying to explain to you.
Weather we're seeing here has its origins thousands of miles away over the Pacific Ocean, an atmospheric journey that scientists are only just beginning to understand. The big freeze of 2018. From the Brecon Beacons
I had a Jeep Grand Cherokee in America and I loved it.
in South Wales to the northeast of England, the biting easterly winds turned Britain into an outpost of the Arctic.
Right, keep going.
Many will never have seen conditions like it.
So this is my car window.
The everyday became the extraordinary.
Literally an ice sheet. Woo!
Yeah, you have to just break it from the inside so it goes out and doesn't go inside your car. Or you can try to scrape it or pour hot water on it, but it's easier to just get in the car and then slam the door. Hopefully it breaks and hopefully the ice will break a little bit and then you can poke it out.
Most people have no clue that in 2024, the best way to make money with Amazon.
Yeah, you got a sense of the scale.
From Scotland to southern England, from the east of England to Ireland, there seems to be virtually no county which is untouched. Even the crew that I'm flying with today say that they haven't seen such widespread blankets of snow up and down the country in nearly a decade, not since 2010.
Even meteorologists got excited.
The last few days, temperatures have been sort of -2, -3. And when you factor in that wind chill, it actually feels more like -8, -9 degrees outside. On Wednesday night, temperatures plummeted to -13 degrees Celsius down in Kent. That's 8 degrees Fahrenheit and has been unseasonably cold end of February, start to March.
It's unusual weather that scientists have traced back to events 4 weeks ago over the Pacific Ocean, 5,000 miles away. Slight variations in the pattern of tropical thunderstorms sent waves through the atmosphere, all the way to the Arctic, where 18 miles up, it caused what scientists call sudden stratospheric warming. Normally, a low-pressure system called the polar vortex sits over the region, with 150-mile-an-hour westerly winds trapping the icy polar air. But the waves traveling through the atmosphere flipped the winds, so they now flowed from the east. This caused the air in the stratosphere to collapse, squeezing together the air molecules, and the temperature soared by 50 degrees.
During wintertime, what happens is, the stratosphere over the pole gets really, really cold.
And we can see that here at the beginning of the year.
These purple temperatures here. So this is when the stratosphere is getting extremely cold. At the same time, the stratospheric polar vortex really spins up. So we have really, really strong circulation going around the pole. And what you can see is right through winter, all the way through winter, we have strong cold temperatures up there, strong polar stratospheric vortex. And then all of a sudden, the beginning of February, it just plummets. It just warms up. We have what's called a sudden stratospheric warming. So what's happening is there's various sort of waves coming up from the atmosphere. It's trying to disturb the polar vortex. And all of a sudden, the polar vortex just breaks down. And we get this rapid warming there. And all those winds just slow right down.
And this was about 50 degrees in just a day. Quite unusual to see something to that extent.
Yeah, it's a huge event. These things happen maybe once every 5 years. They're really quite rare. And this is a particularly large one. It's a really interesting one. And as soon as the polar stratospheric vortex breaks down, those winds go. It acts like a break on top of the troposphere where our weather occurs. And as soon as that happens, then we get changes in the jet stream.
And we can see the impact of that when we pull up the next chart here. You can see an animation, and that is the cold air which has been over Siberia, but it's begun to move towards us.
Yeah, so what's happened is as the sudden stratospheric warmings occurred, then the jet stream has slowed right down, and all this cold air suddenly starts to move slowly and towards the UK, across Europe. So we start to see all that really, really cold air from Russia coming towards us.
Not quite sure I'm going to feed it.
Basically, Siberian weather, because the polar vortex started to shift the other way, Siberian weather comes towards the UK. Jesus. That's crazy.
These two.
The snow swept in from the North Sea.
Dear, oh dear.
The east of the UK took the brunt at first. Roads quickly became treacherous.
Okay, this is making me a tad nostalgic because that's what roads in New Jersey look like in the winter. That piled up snow on the side with the muddy, dirty snow in the road. This is what New Jersey winters look like, Manny. Except we're not dragging trucks out. Although I could.
This was a heart-stopping moment for a driver in Edinburgh.
Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God! No! No, 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 no!
Damn! Great driving by that bus driver. Wow. I've been in a car where it's like skidding around and stuff on the ice, and it's really terrifying. So I could only imagine. Geez, thank God they're safe. Whew.
Others weren't so lucky. On the motorways, vehicles struggle to grip the slippery surface.
He can't get traction.
First slowing, and then coming to a halt.
Yeah, I see the weight in the back, yeah, your front end drive makes it light. I'll dig you out a little bit here, and I'll tell you when. Sit tight.
Traffic officers did what they could to dig them out.
We passed the van on the hard solar earlier on. He was cleaning the hard solar, broke down. He was out the vehicle on the phone. Priority was me and anything in live lane. I will be going back and checking him later on to see if he's been recovered.
The Met Office issued the first ever red weather warnings, first in Scotland, then on Thursday, the southwest.
I have a question. Do you guys, maybe you don't. This is a really honest, good faith question. Do you not have plows? So in case you don't, plows, I mean, they're like basically SUVs that have like the shovel kind of thing across the front, and they scrape the street. Please let me know in the chat.
Urging people to stay indoors. But the snow came so hard and so fast that hundreds of cars got trapped. On the A303 in Wiltshire, drivers spent the night in their vehicles.
It's quite hard to describe, really. There's a kind of apocalyptic scenes. There's no emergency services, no gritters on the road. And actually, the kind of weather hasn't been too bad, but just a lack of gritting just means that, I mean, there are hundreds of trucks, cars littered everywhere, being past a burning car. It's just quite extraordinary.
What can you see out of the window now? Are you stuck in a tailback, or is it just that your car just can't move because it's broken down? Yeah, so luckily I'm in a 4x4, so we're at the bottom of a hill, and to the left is kind of stacked up with lorries. So there's only kind of really one road to go. So the cars in front of us who don't have 4x4 are getting stuck. So we're confident that we can move forward, but every time we get to a hill, a car in front of us gets stuck. So it's just a real mess.
Yeah, that's the thing is that my partner and I were talking about this like last month or something. We were talking about the weather patterns, and because he works in the automotive industry, right? And he knows a lot about cars. My dad was a mechanic, so I know a little bit about cars. And we were just talking about how the cars here aren't made for any kind of extreme weather, whereas the cars in America are made like you change. You can get all-terrain tires, so they're all year-round tires, so they are gritty in the in the winter and on the ice, and then the wet weather. But also you can drive long miles on them in the summer in the dry roads. But there are people that get like they change their tires in the winter, especially when they're in the north when it snows a lot, and they have like winter tires where they have they just have more tread on them and they have better grip on it and everything like that. And there's a lot of SUVs in America anyway, but there's even a line of cars usually that has some kind of four-wheel drive, or something like that in them because of rough weather like this. So this is like, to me, this is all kind of like standard and normal, but the reason that's hitting you guys so hard and your cars, like he was saying, they don't have four-wheel drive. They don't have a way to actually navigate through all of this terrain. So spend the night on the street, on the highway, Jesus.
For Highways England, it was chaos.
people through the night have abandoned the cars, locked the vehicles and walked off with the keys. Now, every single one of those vehicles.
I was going to say, also, it's not unheard of for people to, like, their cars get drifted into the snowbank or something on the side of the road and they just leave it there until the next day or something. That's normal in America as well.
Has to be lifted out of the way before the gritters can get and move further and further up the hill.
That's the other thing that we were talking about was your roads are so much smaller and you have so much parking on your streets that, like, if a car gets stuck, it really does hold up the entire road, right? Whereas in America, because our roads are so much wider, you can kind of have a stuck car and people can usually still get around it. So that also, you have that working against you as well.
Trains also struggled as the weather closed in. This London to Bournemouth service got stuck, with passengers given space blankets to keep warm.
Happy birthday. I can't believe it. We're now on the train at 11:56.
We all kind of came together and got into one cabin to keep warm when the heater went down. So one girl actually had gloves on her feet because it was so cold. We got water out and, like, what food we had left, we got out as well. So we were all trying to, keep each other happy because it was starting to get cold.
Planes were grounded, with hundreds of flights delayed or cancelled. At Glasgow Airport, crews tried to keep the runways clear, but the snow just kept on coming.
Some regions have seen 40 centimetres of snow, whereas other regions have seen just 5 centimetres across the UK.
What is 40 centimetres? I have to do it. I have to figure it out. Hold on. I have to. I'm sorry, y'all. I was trying to figure it out in my head. Centimeters to feet. 40. Oh, it's like 1.5 feet. Okay.
And what's happened is you've got this very cold, dry air coming across from Scandinavia to the UK, and it moves across the North Sea, which acts as a moisture source, which is what we need for the snow. Now, parts of Kent and East Anglia, some of them saw 20 centimetres of snow, and that's because the air that was moving across there had a very long sea track, and that allowed the air to gain more moisture and dump much more snow. Regions to the north and west of London, further inland, the air becomes much drier and the showers dry up, they become less frequent and lighter, and that's why there's been less snow there.
But there was time to enjoy the snow too.
Right. That's clever. The snowblower. That's clever.
And there's plenty more time for fun. The forecast is for more cold weather, at least into next week. The chill of 2018 has broken records, and it's far from over.
It's a shame.
Wow. I mean, I understand why Great Britain was pretty much immobilized because you guys just aren't used to that kind of weather. But that's like a typical storm in America in the Northeast, honestly. So a lot of those images were actually kind of brought back some memories. We've had snow up to like my waist, which is probably 3 to 4 feet. Yeah, I'm not 6 feet tall, but it's been up to at least 3 feet. It's like been up to the window in America. It's just normal. I'm just used to it. I'm not even in a really bad part. If you go really far north, Vermont, northern New York, upstate New York, Minnesota, and like North Dakota and places like that, it gets really bad, and it's there for like 4 to 6 months. It's bad. So, wow. Do you guys remember that? Do you guys have any personal stories about it? I'm curious. I'd love to know your personal experiences with it. If your home gets cold fast, use old blankets to cover the windows. I think there's like half of our windows are new and half of them are not. And I think part of our issue with the downstairs, the dining lounge space, living room space, is we have new windows on one side, but we have an really big old window in the back. And I think maybe some of the cold is just coming through that old window. So we might have to. I remember when I was little, we had no money, right, for heat or anything. So I remember my dad would put like blankets and towels and stuff like around the window panes and stuff. TJ said we had snow in 1985 in Newcastle upon Tyne, and it was 3 to 4 feet deep. Imogen says, beast from the east, the road unto Lindisfarne Island was blocked by iceberg. Wow. Now that is crazy. That I have never seen before. Why not pour hot water in cars? I've never heard that that's a problem. Hot water, not boiling water. I might have said boiling water, but I meant hot water. Oh, thank you for that tip, Manny. I've started. I will catch that up with that later. Thank you. Especially on a freezing, icy windscreen. You think it'll crack the window? Is that why? I mean, I've done it, so, and I've never had an issue, so I'm just curious why you guys think that. The last real bad lot of snow that lasted a couple of weeks in the south was 1979. Okay, let's not repeat that. 2010 in Liverpool, the buses were sliding. Took me 4 hours to get home, when it's usually half an hour. That's the thing. You have to go really slow, and it is terrifying. Like I was saying earlier during the video, it is absolutely terrifying when you're in a car and you have no control, and you're sliding around and everything, and you can see that like there's cars around, or there's, you know, obstructions around in some way, and it's really, really scary. I was one time when I was in America, I was at a veterans function with my dad. It was me and my daughter, so my partner was working. So I was in a car. I was in a truck, it was a Ford truck. Before I had my Jeep, that was fabulous. But I was driving there, and she had fallen asleep in the back, and it had started snowing as we were leaving. So I was like, okay, I just have to get home. And it was only like a 35-40 minute drive. We were driving, and it was just snowing, so it was still really, really slippery, and the plows and the grit hadn't been out yet. So I slid, and the car actually went like this, and like slid right up to like the property had the mailbox at the end on the street, and it had like a stone kind of mountainish kind of thing up leading up to it to protect the mailbox, and I had slid right up the rocks to the top. Luckily, nothing damaged underneath the car or anything. We were okay, and I was able to just kind of back down from it and then continue on my journey, because what else am I going to do? Everybody was all right and everything, but that was scary because I had my daughter in the back, and she was like 4 or 5. It was really, really scary. It's scary. And then there was one time that we had a really bad snowstorm, and we had lost our heat. We lost our electric, which was turned on by the heat. The heat was turned on by the electric, sorry. And so we had lost our electric, and we were driving around because it was 3 or 4 days we were stuck in the house. So we were driving around that's when I had my Jeep. That was fantastic. I'm going to promote my Jeep throughout the entire show today. But so I was driving around, and I was driving because my partner isn't as comfortable driving in the snow. And it must have snowed at least like 4 feet. The roads were somewhat clear, but it was still kind of slippery. It had stopped snowing, but it was still slippery on the roads and everything. And I remember we were driving, and I was like, oh, I actually want to go the other way. But I didn't want to go all the way down the road that was really, really slippery. So I just drove over the median. It was piled up with snow. Because I had a 4x4 that was 4-wheel drive, and I could just drive right over the snow to make the U-turn instead of waiting. Not that I would recommend that to anybody else, but that was kind of fun to be able to do it. I'm not gonna lie. So I always find a positive, fun ones. Okay, yeah, you do have plows and hot gritters. I don't know what hot gritters are, but I suppose it's to help melt, right? Oh, we got gritters. Damn autocorrect is right, Sam. We do have plows, but mainly from farmers. The roads are mainly gritters. Yeah, to be fair, that in really bad storms, they hire people who have like trucks and jeeps and stuff like that are willing to fit like the plow thing on the front of their cars, and they hire them for extra to do like the side roads and stuff so that the county can or the town can focus on the main roads. No, I know somebody who did that like for extra money in the winter. We do it mostly in Scotland, Wales, and the like. With gritters are our main thing. Yeah, I could imagine you wouldn't have a lot at your disposal in the south, in the southeast of England, at least, where they said, you know, you're hit pretty hard in that storm. So that has a lot to do with it as well. Mick, your son drives a snowplow. I feel like you told me that at one point in the Highlands, and that makes sense. That makes total sense. Yeah, I think they got stuck once on one of our live streams. You were telling me they were stuck somewhere because of the snow. I remember that. Falco says, "How does the man who drives a snowplow get to work in the morning?" You just get there. Look, nothing in America shuts down. Like, there are coffee shops open, there were fast food places open during these bad storms in America. We go to work. I mean, I did one time, I think my office was closed due to bad weather, and it was because they were flooded. There was some kind of flood in the building. Like, everything's open. You have to get to work. That's just how it is. And remember, in America as well, you don't have like a lot of personal time, and you can't really call out sick that much because you only have so much time. So yeah, you just have to go. You just have to get there. I think that's why there's so many SUVs in that area anyway. The council gave the snow plows names. Our tires are mainly for rain. Yeah. And well, that was the centimeters thing, right? Yeah, 1.5 feet. That makes sense. Thanks, Disco. The Army have pointy snowplows. Seen a lot of those in Germany. Pointy. Oh, like they're like that, like the front of a steam train pointy. So they push it out that way, maybe. Ours are kind of like angled out. So here's the car, and they'll be angled out like that, so that as they drive, it's pushed off to the side of the road. Mojin says, snow used to come up to my waist when I was a child. Then I realized it was only 3 foot. I was only 3'6". TJ said in 62, 63, the River Mersey froze over. I don't know where the River Mersey is, but I assume that that's something that's not usual or not typical. Roy Cousins says, it seems to me that we got more snow when I was a kid in London, but not in recent years. That might be. But I don't know. Global warming might send us back that way. Manny says, when the beast from the east swept in winter 2018, I was housebound for 3 days, but kept warm and just had so much hot food, but struggled a bit with boredom. It is really difficult to stay inside and not leave the house at all for, days at a time, because we're such an active society now. There's such an active world now. We just don't do that. But even like if you have nothing to do, going out to the shop or taking a walk or something, like walking the dog or just taking the garbage out, even like all of that was a big, huge hassle, right? And then I remember the same storm when we lost our electric, we had an electric stove, so we couldn't cook either. So we like shoveled to the grill that we had outside, and we just pulled the grill up to the door in the back door, and we just had it open, like we just had the back door open, and we were like in our coats and stuff, like grilling, because that's the only way we could cook, because we had no electric. It's kind of fun, actually. Oh, okay. It does damage the glass. I've honestly never had it damage the glass, and I've only done it a couple times, though, and in the extreme cases where I did not have anything else. But and I'm not talking, like, again, I'm not saying boiling water, because I know boiling water and cold water in hot glasses, I know that cracks them from waiting tables and stuff. But I'm just saying, like, hot water from the tap over the edges, just to melt it down. But noted. Chris says, when I was a teenager, I lived on a big hill and it snowed. Cars couldn't get up, so myself and my sister got old tin bath and bobsledded down the hill. Yeah, that's what you do. That's what you do. You gotta just figure it out. You gotta find the fun. That's one of my sayings. Find the fun. And I love it. Our side roads don't get touched. I'm not surprised. Our side roads barely got touched. Pointy like the steam train. Okay, that's what I thought. I understand Celsius FC. And I do think it makes more sense, but I'm so used to equating what the weather is going to be like in Fahrenheit that it's just difficult for me to just translate it in my head. So I just translate it on my little translator and find out what the Fahrenheit temperature is, and I go with that. It's easier for me. I think probably over time it'll start to cement a little bit more. Sam says, we have gritters to deal with the snow and ice. America has Trump's neon orange complexion to melt the snow and ice. It's all fake and makeup. I don't know how much good it'll do them. And an emoji says, Trump has a lot of hot air coming out of his mouth to help as well. That is very true. And TJ says, I have so many camping stoves in this house. I would be okay to cook if the electric went out. That's what you do. You just make do. I remember during, I don't know if you guys know Superstorm Sandy that hit New Jersey when my daughter was little as well. And we lost power in our house for like over a week. We actually had to go, we went and lived with my mom for a week because they were the only ones who had power, and they only had electric. They didn't have anything else. But I remember they had a gas stove, and we were like lighting the stove with a lighter, and the heat wasn't working. So we were like boiling water and stuff to try to get the heat, to try to warm at least the kitchen area while we were sitting in there and stuff. It's really, really hard. It's really hard. You have to just be creative. You have to just figure it out. You have all of your pre-decimalization coins now. That's all the shillings and stuff. Like we were talking about that last week, right? Or maybe it was the week before, but I remember talking about that. You have all of them. They're not legal currency now anymore, right? You can't actually use them for currency. You can only use them as like shell, right? I'm pretty sure that's what y'all said. Okay. We are now going to have a little bit of an American time, guys. The Super Bowl is this weekend. I don't know if anybody here watches American football or the NFL, but it's a big deal. So I thought I would give you a little bit of a lesson as to why it's a big deal, and then give you my hot take on the Super Bowl overall. For those of you who are not familiar, if you are, then feel free to chime in with your, anything that you know that I might not cover, and let me know your thoughts and if it's something that you'd be interested in. I'm curious. So the American Super Bowl is kind of an unofficial holiday in the US, whereas almost, I don't know anyone who didn't watch the Super Bowl for one reason or another. And there's tons of reasons that people watch it. We're going to go through in a minute. But it is definitely something that is very much watched. And it is weird because the game is like on a Sunday night. So lots of people take the Monday off. I guess if they're real football nerds and stuff. I never did because I didn't care. Anyway, so the game was created as part of a 1966 merger agreement between the National Football League and the competing American Football League. I believe the AFL has now been disbanded. But to have their best teams compete for a championship, it was originally called the AFL-NFL World Championship Game until Super Bowl. The moniker Super Bowl was adopted in 1969 Super Bowl, which was Super Bowl III. Woohoo. What's this one now? It's like 58 or something like that. I don't know. So there's a huge pregame hoopla. There's a huge lead up to the game. Pregame shows start at 12 or 1 o'clock. The game starts at 6. And they're all day. They talk about stats from all the teams, the players, the coaches, history of Super Bowl. Sometimes they have local bands, the high school band, college band or something play. Sometimes they'll just have local artists play. They'll interview former players, all that kind of stuff. Former Super Bowl winners, things like that. And there's usually a highly televised and publicized and advertised interview with the President of the United States prior to the start of the Super Bowl game. It's a huge, huge deal. And every president has done it, I think, since Clinton or Bush, something like that. Actually, the only reason I even really know about it, because I don't remember it ever watching it for any reason, but the only reason I remember it now is because Biden did not do it last year, and it was a huge, huge deal. But for obvious reasons, he didn't do it. But Trump will be doing it this year, and I'm very curious on how that's going to go. He's going to be interviewed by Fox News, which is his friend, so it'll probably go okay. Tons and tons of Super Bowl parties. We have Super Bowl parties in our offices. We have Super Bowl parties in the schools. We have Super Bowl parties at friends and families' homes, local restaurants, all that stuff. It's a huge deal. I mean, we bring in food. We do a potluck lunch on the Friday before Super Bowl. It's crazy. So usually on the Sunday, I just sounded super British because I said the Sunday. Usually on Super Bowl Sunday, you'll go over a friend's house or family member's house, and you'll go over at lunchtime, right when the pregame show starts, and you'll just watch all that shit on TV. It'll be at least on background while you're participating in the rest of the festivities, which of course includes food. Traditionally, it's things like buffalo wings and chili, baby back ribs, pizza, potato chips, and extra long Subway sandwiches. Not Subway, sub sandwiches. So they're Subway sandwiches, but they're originals, and they're 5 feet long or something. They're humongous. They're as big as this room is from side to side. They're obviously cut into pieces and stuff like that. But yeah, so you just go and grab a sandwich because you're really literally eating and snacking all day long and all night long because the game starts at 6. People will dress up in jerseys. Alcohol is very prevalent. And typically you'll do things like either have a football game in your backyard or if it's warm enough, or maybe you'll play like beer pong or something like that, and have those kinds of things going on as well. As the game starts, obviously, because it's America, we have to sing the national anthem before the game. And it's a huge deal who's going to sing the national anthem, almost as big as who's going to be the halftime performer, which is a huge deal as well. And then they do this coin toss, which I don't understand why it's a big deal, but it is a big deal because they do some kind of commemorative coin, and apparently it has an influence on the game because it determines who kicks off first and who receives first. And I think like 60% of the time, whoever kicks off first, I might have the stat wrong, so don't quote me, but 60% of the time, the person, it might be the receiving, one of the sides ends up winning the game. So it's like a big deal to like win the coin toss and be able to pick whether you're going to kick the ball first or receive the ball first. It's all about the stats because it's an American sports event. So it's broadcast in 130 countries and watched in more than 30 languages. And it's one of the most watched sporting events in the world. Now, I don't know if this stat is from an American publication because I doubt that it has as many people watching it as the World Cup does. I'm just saying. The World Cup's insanely huge. So it has so many more participants in it. It just makes more sense. But anyways, that's what it said. Commercials are huge. There are people who watch the game just for the commercials. There are people who watch the game just for the halftime show. And there are people who go to the party just for the social aspect. Yeah, and they come with big price tags. Super Bowl ads, at least for this for the 2025 Super Bowl, are between $7 and $8 million per ad. It's fucking ridiculous. For like 32 seconds to a minute or something. It's insane. I saw another stat where it's like some brands will spend like half of their marketing budget just on a Super Bowl ad or something like that. It's crazy. People even make top 10 lists and content around the commercials only, or around the halftime show, or around the pre-games festivities. I mean, sometimes people just watch it for that, and then they don't watch the game. It's really, really crazy. They're even they even take timeouts during the game to run the ads. And it is a huge gambling thing. So betting on the game is very common. Sometimes you'll just do it like between friends or, loved ones or wherever the party that you're going to. But it's huge in the office. Like I said, usually the Friday before, we'll do like a potluck. Everyone will bring something in. People are wearing their jerseys. And they'll even have the charts to pick the boxes of who's going to win and all that kind of stuff. Many people play the gridiron challenge, which is what I was going to say, where they fill in squares based on the game's actions and plays. They'll pick a square as well as for what the score will be at the end of each quarter and who will win ultimately. And they'll like pick numbers. They'll be like, oh, the score is going to end in like 7-1. And then you'll win a portion if they end up winning, 7-11 or whatever. And then betting and offers pools go on for like weeks leading up to the game. So you'll do the boxes. You have to buy a box in order to play. And then you can also do betting on who's going to win. And then sometimes people get really, really into it and will bet like who's going to score, how many points they're going to score, how many yards they're going to run, all that kind of stuff. It's really, really crazy. And then it's all about the halftime show. So performing the halftime show is a huge honor. And it's, like I said, a lot of people only watch it for the halftime show. It can be extremely controversial. Ask Janet Jackson and Justin Timberlake. I don't know if you guys know that story, but I suggest you look it up. I don't know why it was controversial, but it was because, well, if you look it up, you'll find out. But it's a huge freaking ordeal, huge spectacle. Everyone tries to outdo the previous performer, and it's a huge honor to be asked to do it. They're not paid, the performers, but they get paid like the union entertainment union rate. But the NFL, because it's such a big deal and it draws in so many people, the NFL actually covers the cost of production and travel, which is unusual for an American franchise. But it's such an honor that they don't even really get paid. They just get paid scale, like what any extra would get paid, basically. So the key takeaways, from my opinion, about the Super Bowl are that it is an integral part of American culture. It does bring some communities together. There's lots of debates about the best commercials, people talking about who sang the national anthem, people talking about the halftime show, in addition to all of the sports people talking about the sports aspect of it. But for me, in my opinion, it's really just a great big advertisement for the NFL. And if you never saw a Super Bowl game, you're not missing much, in my opinion. Anyways, I just thought I would help you guys out in case you're curious as to what the Super Bowl is. In case you've never seen it. Oh, wait. Some of the names for the snowplows are Britney Spears, like it. Plower of Scotland, Gritty. Plower of Scotland, Gritty Gritty Bang Bang, and Andy Flurry. Clever. Mojin says that they've been to American football at Wembley in 2022. Yeah, the NFL is actually getting kind of big here. I don't know how I feel about it, to be honest, because it's not like, I don't know. For me, it's there's too much stopping and starting. It's like not, it's boring. It's a little bit more exciting in person than watching it on TV, but it's still not as exciting. Like I still got bored. I had more fun tailgating. Tanners, shillings, crowns, half crowns, farthings and thruppence, thripney, bit. I haven't heard of the last two. I know they had tuppence and thruppence. Tuppence a pound. Tuppence a bag. Tuppence a pound. Tuppence a bag. Chris says he watches Super Bowl sometimes when it's on at like 1 a.m. Yeah, it's like 6. Yeah, that makes sense. It's 6. It starts at like 6 o'clock evening Eastern time in America. So that makes sense. Yeah. I think this year it's in New Orleans. I think. And so it's going to be even an hour behind that. Just like 7 time zones in America. So. Mick is disappointed the Commanders lost to the Eagles. Really? Well, I mean, I'm an Eagles fan. It took me a second because the Commanders, I remember them by their previous name. It took me a second. I forgot they changed their name. I was like, who's the Commanders? Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, I'm partial to the Eagles because we lived outside of Philadelphia. And we lived in Philadelphia when they won their first Super Bowl. So, and my daughter was really excited about it and caught up in it. So, and she's an Eagles fan. So, I was happy. I'm happy to see they're back in it, actually. Super Bowl 59. You might be right, Chris. Honestly, I don't keep track. I think it's L, which is 50, right? And yeah, it's LIX. So that's 59. Yeah. Manny says, I used to watch the NFL from 2016 until 2022, but when unfortunately I totally fell out of love with it. My team were the Las Vegas Raiders, who aren't very good. Las Vegas Raiders, didn't it used to be the LA Raiders? Is it the LA Raiders? I knew there was a California team that moved to Vegas, but I don't follow it, so Maybe I'm wrong, but Mojin says the first time I watched the Super Bowl was mid-90s. Michael Jackson was mid-game entertainment. Mid-game. Oh, I love it. Oh, you're so cute. Halftime. It's called halftime, but you're so cute. Thank you. At least you don't call it intermission, because it's not an intermission. Intermission's only for shows and that kind of entertainment. But anyways, Michael Jackson was singing "Heal the World." I think I remember watching that. I think it's the last time I saw him perform live. So Manny's up on the deets. So it is Super Bowl 59, and it'll be in New Orleans. Yeah, that's what I did, Chris. When you said that, I was doing it in my head too. I was like, yeah, that's it. That's the only way I know. So next year will probably be like 10 times as expensive and 10 times as a fucking like enormous, overwhelming, overbearing amount of crap about it, because it'll be the 60th in true American franchise fashion. Anyway, what breed of cat is flicking its tail on Trump's head? Seems a very happy cat. It's always flicking its tail. I'm pretty sure it's the best comb over ever. Or, well, best meaning maybe most infamous. Mojin says that's not a cat. It's 100% acrylic hairpiece. I wouldn't be surprised. Manny says the reason I fell out of love with the NFL is that the games are too long and too full of effing commercials, and the amount of play is stop-start. I agree. That was my issue too. I just couldn't get behind it. I didn't find why it was exciting. It's only exciting like 3 times throughout the whole game, and most of it's like basketball. It's like it's only exciting the last like 5 minutes. Lorena says, I've never actually seen the Super Bowl, just the halftime show. So your facts are actually very interesting, and I'm in the US. Oh, cool. Go for it. Yeah, the only time I ever watched it, I mean, my sister and her husband had and her partner had a Super Bowl party every year. And so we used to go over there and so our daughter would play with her kids and we would just hang out and drink and shoot the shit. It was like, I only watched the game when I got bored or there's something else going on that I wasn't involved in. So did I hear that the Canadian fans were booing the national anthem over the weekend? No, I didn't hear that, but I'm not surprised because Canada's pissed at us right now. I mean, with all right, with all absolute, like they have the absolute right to be pissed. Trump's acting like a dick. There's like Canadians boycotting American products and stuff, and rightfully so. It's a mess, dude. You used to spread bets? Of course you did, Chris. Of course you did. Because you are, every topic that we talk about, you've had some kind of hand in at some point in your life. I actually expect it now, every time that we talk about something, that you have some kind of little tidbit to throw in there that you were directly involved in. And I'm not knocking it. I think it's great. I love it. Mojin says, I went to see an NFL in London in 2002, end of October, 86,000 people in the stadium. Denver Broncos beat Jacksonville Jaguars. It was a really good atmosphere. I just couldn't figure out who had the ball. Yeah, it's 2022, not 2002. It's actually not a hard game to pick up if you have someone who knows what they're talking about to explain it to you, because it's hard to, I think it's a hard game to figure out because it's kind of, I don't know, it's not complicated, but there's a lot of rules. I don't know if that makes sense. Basically, whoever's got the extra little guy in the middle is has possession of the ball, and they're trying to get the ball over to the end where the like U-shaped thing is in order to get what's called a touchdown. And that's the score. And the score is 6 points. And then you have to kick it through the little U thing, or you have to run it into the end again for extra points. So it's 1 extra point to kick it in the U thing, and then it's 2 extra points if you run it over. And then if you can't make it, you think that you get 4 chances to get 10 yards. And then once you get that 10 yards, then you get your 4 chances back to get another 10 yards. So if you don't get close enough to the end zone in order to what you think you're going to be able to make a touchdown in the next 10 yards, or you're going to be able to get your 4 chances back, then you can try to shoot a field goal, kick a field goal, not shoot a field goal, kick a field goal. And that's trying to kick the ball from wherever you have possession, to that little U thing. And that's how you score points. That's 3 points. And then once you either kick it through that U thing, you run it into the end zone, or you have your 4 chances and you didn't gain the 10 yards, then possession changes over to the other team and they try to do the same thing the opposite way. That's the basic gist of it. I don't know if that helped you at all, because it was a little bit convoluted, but that's basically it. Hello, Lee. Thank you for joining us. I was an American football official for 15 years here, worked on NFL International Series games at both Wembley and Tottenham. Wow, that's great. So you could probably explain things a lot better than I just did. But it's cool. Had I known, I would have saved my explanation and I would have just given you the conch. Anyways, this first Super Bowl was 67. Did I say 60? Did I say something else? Oh, they said 66 in this publication. But you know, we always have it after the turn of the new year. So I know I always get confused if it was like 2024, because it's a 2024 season, but they play in the beginning of 2025. Like, that's how they do it. I have heard Washington are changing their name back to the Redskins. Really? I find that hard to believe, because the whole issue with the Redskins was the controversy over the Redskins. But that's how I grew up knowing them, but I understand why it's been changed. I don't know if Commanders is I don't like the name Commanders just because I don't like the name Commander. I don't think it's very good, but Lee, your first Super Bowl was 87. Good on you. Intermission and ice hockey. Do they say intermission in America? Jesus Christ, it's been so long since I watched hockey. Yeah, they do have 2 intermissions in hockey. You're right. There you go, Nick. The Oakland Raiders, thank you, Manny. Then moved to LA in 82 to 94, then moved back to Oakland in 95 before relocating to Vegas. Manny with the facts. See, I knew they were in California. What? See, I'm not that bad. Not that completely disconnected with my culture. Hello, Badger. Thank you for joining us. Are British people portrayed as the bad guys in the U.S.? It depends. It depends on the topic. Most of the time, no, they're not. They're usually considered to be a little bit reserved and maybe not as much fun sometimes, but they're not necessarily bad guys unless you're talking about the American Revolution or the War of Independence, however you want to frame it. Then yes, they're the bad guys. Interesting story. The first time I ever went to Boston, I think I was like 17 or something like that. And we went with friends, my friends of my parents, and their kids. And their kids were young, much younger. Probably like preteens. Their father was English, funny enough. And we went to Boston with them, and we were doing the Freedom Trail and stuff. And the kids were asking me particularly about the American Revolution and the significance of like Paul Revere and some of the things we were seeing. And I was explaining it to them. And one of the kids goes, "But the good guys won in the end, right?" And their father looked right at me, right? Like, what are you going to say? How are you going to handle this? And I was just like, well, the Americans ended up winning. Yes. Like that. I don't even know if I said yes, to be honest. I was just like, well, the Americans won. And everyone just started laughing at me. Like I said, they were like 10 or 11. They didn't really get like the connection or anything. I was like, I can't say that their dad's a bad guy. I can't say they were the enemy. It's their dad. But I couldn't lie either. How do I do this? I think I handled it pretty well, though, considering I was blindsided. But that was pretty funny. I still remember that after all these years. It was really, really funny. I worked on the chain crew. I don't know what the chain crew is. Like, do you mind giving us a little more details? Because I don't know what that is. And yes, of course, Mick. Let's go, Rangers. Always. Badger says, I watch a lot of YouTube videos about Americans versus British. Oh, cool. I'm British, but I wasn't around during the Revolutionary War. Well, I would think probably not. It was some time ago, so I would have probably guessed. But thank you for joining us. What's the best place to eat in New York if you don't like pizza? There's thousands of good restaurants in New York. What you want to do if you're in New York is, of course, you're going to be like in the Times Square area and everything, but you want to go like to, which is around 7th, 8th Avenue. You want to go to like 9th, 10th Avenue. You want to go a couple blocks away from Times Square to any restaurant. It'll be so much better than whatever you're going to get around the Times Square touristy area. And it's going to be a lot less expensive. And there's lots and lots of different kinds of food available and everything. And you'll definitely find something in your price range. That's the best advice I can give you about finding food in New York. There's everything that you could possibly think of in that area in Manhattan. You just have to just go away from the touristy spot. A few blocks away, and you're going to find amazing restaurants that are just banging and exactly what you'd like. I don't know how you don't like pizza, though. I mean, I might have to ban you because that's just crazy. You will be spoiled for choice. I don't know about buffets specifically because we do a lot of sit downs when we go into the city because it's like an event for us, right? But yeah, you'll definitely find something. There's tons and tons of stuff there. So like I said, just go a few blocks away from the touristy area and just Google some places, and whatever looks good, stop in. It's probably amazing. For it to be able to sustain in Manhattan, it's going to be good. It has to be good. You don't like the melted cheese? I don't even like cheese, and I love pizza. Sorry. Domino's do chocolate pizza. Yeah, well, Domino's is terrible. I don't know what to tell you, Sam. It's just terrible. Lee's coming back to my story about the children in Boston with the large slice of assistance from the French, the Dutch, the Spanish, who all had a vested interest. Nuh-uh. My throat is dry. My tea is gone. And that is the time. That is the time, y'all. Look at that. Ugh. Time flies when you're having so much fun. All right, so that's going to end it for me. What am I doing? Let's see. Oh, yeah, I'm removing something. Sorry. Oh, you're welcome. Yes, please try to smash the like buttons on your way out, and you're very welcome. Thank you guys for joining us. I have tried Denny's, Shoney's. Oh my God, Shoney's breakfast, amazing. Perkins breakfast, amazing. Waffle House is crap. Wendy's is okay. Wendy's is pretty good. Oh, D. Scott, thank you. I was really upset hearing you were struggling in the UK. We are here for you. Thank you. Yeah, it's just an up and down hill roller coaster. What can I say? But I appreciate it, Scott. Thank you. I really do. With that, I'm going to say my goodbyes, y'all. It's been amazing as always. I'm gonna